Hello, this is Movie Mash, and I'm Del Boy, and this is my man Mike. You're going to talk to us, and we're both going to talk about Alien and Predator franchise, not just the VAVP, but we're going to talk about all of them. And I think the best way to start would be to talk about 1979's Alien, Ridley Scott's first part. What
Yeah.
have you got to say about that, Mister?
Um. Well, for me, it's pretty much a perfect movie. I
All
I
right.
don't,
Okay.
there's not too much you can say wrong about it. Um. It's I just think the way it's kind of like the sci-fi Jaws, if you know what I mean, in the sense of you've got this amazing, you're introduced to this amazing creature, the xenomorph, and I still don't think to this day there's been many aliens on film that kind of beat what they created with the xenomorph, and the suspense of the film and the way it's just everything really about it. There's not too much you can say bad about it. I mean, I don't know what you have. You got anything negative?
All right. Okay. So, just quickly, a friend of mine who reads a lot said that the original idea was on the first Alien was you couldn't kill it. It's impossible to die. It wasn't. I think they did it for the film. Now, I'd seen Aliens, and I bet you did too, before Alien.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was going to
and I
bring that
was
up,
a kid.
but there you mentioned it. Yeah, I did.
And I was a kid. I was like really young when I saw Aliens. Do you know what I mean? So I think maybe it's more impressionable on us then, I suppose, because we were young and it was what the hell, action and horror. It's like wow. Anyway, so when I finally got to see Alien, the first one, which was years later, early '90s maybe, I was expecting Aliens like similar to the first one. So I will say I was disappointed. I was like, hold on, where's all the the big smart guns and all the pump action
Yeah.
rifles? And where's
But
all
then,
this stuff?
I think with that, I mean, I'm just quickly going to say hello to the guys. You've got Justin saying, Mike, what's up, bro? Hi, Justin, mate. Hope you're well, mate. Richard, hi, mate. Jez is on there. Hello, movie fans. Sally, hi, guys. So I just want to say hello to everyone that's watching and thanks for tuning in.
I don't get lost.
I mean, I think when you
Hi,
watch
Sally. Hi, Justin. Hello, Facebook user. Who's
that's
that?
Richard. That's Richard.
And Jessa Morgan. Hey,
Jessa. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have to rewatch them. Once you've rewatched them, you realise it's widely known now that one's really a real masterclass sci-fi movie, and the other one is a masterclass in action. And it's two directors taking it, at the top of their game, taking it in two different sort of directions.
The pacing in the first one I thought was slow, but now as I'm older now, I realised it was part of it. It's all the suspense, isn't it?
One of the things I like about the first one is, which when you rewatch it and you know in these information, you can sort of see it more. Is there's no clear lead protagonist for probably the first hour.
Who's the Facebook user? Hey, Dad.
Hey, Dad. Oh, that's my daughter, Phoebe.
Oh, right.
Hi, Phoebe. Sorry. Hi, darling.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sorry, it just comes out Facebook user. All right. Hello, Dad.
So yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, there's no protagonist for the first hour, and you don't know, like, is it going to be Dallas? Is it Ripley? Ripley kind of just is in the background for a lot of the start of the movie.
Well, Tom Skerritt, is it? He was the main star. He was bigger. He was the biggest name of all of them at that time. And then, boom.
And so, like, that's what I mean. Like, you didn't know, and I think that's very rare in movies to not have a clear protagonist from the start that you're rooting for. That and I think that sets it up for the final sort of third of the movie.
Was Ian Holmes? What's his name again on it? What was he was the android, wasn't it? Ian Holmes.
Ash, is it?
Yeah, I think he puts you on easy throughout the start anyway, because you're kind of, he seems a bit secretive throughout all of it. So they
That's
threw that
natural,
in there as well.
because obviously now we expect to have androids in Alien and Predator movies. Kind of,
Yeah.
it's kind of there. But back then, obviously, it was a big surprise. And if you rewatch it, knowing that Ash is an android, there's certain moments in the early parts when, after the chest burst and scene and things like that, where he's acting in a way where you can see he's thinking like, I want to contain this alien. I must get this sample, Whereas it's very subtle, and you wouldn't pick up on it because you don't think he's for your first time viewer. Spoilers, obviously. You don't think he's an android, do you? You wouldn't expect it. So.
No. And there's that little weird scene with the magazine at the end, sort of thing. I'm like, okay, but the visuals were great for its day. We have the space jockey, which
I think they actually stand up better than maybe some of the sequels. I mean, Alien 3 and Alien 4 potentially don't have as good visuals, I don't think, in some ways.
I know. I suppose they did for its day. Alien 3.
Later movies were doing a lot of CGI.
Yeah. I mean,
age as well as practical effects ages.
They wanted it running around and stuff, but I think we'll get to that. But I was going to say, so for part one, I hadn't seen it to the 90s. I appreciated more than that. My son, being a young man, seeing all the aliens, kind of likes the first one more. I'm like, really? Being a young lad, like, I want to see action and all that. He always likes the first one more. I don't know. But as I said, we have the space jockey in it, which had the hole in its chest and all that. Do you remember?
Yeah.
That was a mystery, but it was overlooked. We forgot about that one. And then in 1986, I think we had Aliens, the sequel. It was that was the next one in line before Predator. So, what do you reckon of that one?
That was, like I said, that was my introduction to Aliens, as it was yours. And I honestly, it's kind of like Terminator in space in a way. I mean, you can tell it's done by. When you get into movies and you know certain directors and that, it's got James Cameron written all over it. That's what I mean by Terminator in space. It's his style of film. You definitely know it's a James Cameron film if you know James Cameron films.
James Cameron does what James Cameron wants to do because it's James Cameron. You know what I'm talking about, right?
But yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, again, the other thing we've got to talk about these movies is there's a lot of different editions of these movies, because, for example, there is an Alien special edition which adds certain
for me
things.
That's the one I have to watch now. I reckon that it shows a bit more about the young girl's parents. Newt shows what leading up to that. Shows them on it makes a difference to me.
If you haven't watched the special edition, it shows for information like the fact that Ripley had a daughter.
It shows about her daughter.
Yeah, which isn't in the original.
And I liked it. It shows that she died of old age, didn't she?
And that kind of helps. It helps signify when she meets Newt. It gives it that extra sort of edge.
Yes. Why it was so important.
Yeah. Why she becomes so important to her. Whereas in the theatrical cut, which, granted, I didn't see it in the theaters, but I'm pretty sure the first version I saw on VHS would have been the theatrical cut. Doesn't show that, and that does add an extra element to the film.
But the families on the what was it, LV426 or something? I'm not sure, but it shows the actual people working there and the kids on the little bikes flying up and down the corridors. Do you remember that? All right, on the special edition.
Yeah,
it shows the people that are living on there, and it shows them at work, and they're going through diagrams, and it shows kids on little 5-year-olds on bikes up and down the corridors and stuff, and it kind of gives you. It's the same ones you see earlier on, and it shows the exact same corridors when they walk in with all the holes and stuff, and it kind of gives you it shows you what was there and what's gone now. Do you know what I mean? And I think it added. It wasn't a big scene; it was just a couple of minutes, but it added to me. It was like. That's what was there. It was, they've just gone to a warehouse as far as we're concerned on the theatrical cut. But now we've seen the family, and now I'm like, right. Then it shows, you remember, obviously it shows Newt and her mum and dad and the brother, and the finding of the alien thingy, what was in the first one, spaceship, which I don't think was on. Yeah, it wasn't. And that kind of gives her more character about what she went through, what she's seen and stuff. And I was like, why do they miss these things out? Did they do this just so they can bring out another cut later on? I don't know. But anyway, those were big deals.
I'm just reading the comments here there's one from Jesuit that says, I can highly recommend the books and the original art by H.R. Geiger. I'm going to hope I've pronounced that correctly. Helps to pad out the gaps in the Alien movies. I don't know whether you've read any of the. I've read some of the Alien versus Predator books, which might be some of those.
Oh, there's the comic books, yeah. They started with a comic, didn't they?
But yeah, I mean, like I say, Aliens. I mean, the end. It's got so many lines as well. How many? I mean, a bit like the Terminator series with "I'll be back." You know, you've got all those classic lines.
Get away from her, you bitch. Yeah, there's something I want to tell you, and I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, and it's more kind of meaningful to me and you than probably other people watching. But did you know that was filmed in Park Royal?
Really? No.
Yes. Now, a little bit of trivia that I only found out a couple of years ago, and I'm like, what? And it's mind blowing, right? It's not all filmed in there. Do you know the bits where they go in with the guns, walking around the factory? That was a power plant in Park Royal. And Park Royal, for everyone who's watching, is an area where we're from. And there was a power plant there back in the 80s. It was shut down. They filmed in there, but get this, Batman 1989 was also filmed in there. And I didn't know this, but if you know the power plant in the first Batman, that's Park Royal, and it's the same seat. Now, if you look at the pictures, it's even got the bit when the boy's hanging off with the rope and he shoots the guy and he's hanging off the rope.
I'm going to have to go back and watch it, aren't I? I'm going to have to go back and watch it.
That's all. It shows scene for scene. It's the same. It's actually they didn't even change the paint. There's yellow paint on the handrail. Now, one more thing that drove me insane. When I was a kid, I was a fucker for climbing into everything and everywhere. Obviously, security wasn't like it was today. Like I could climb into a building site and all that. Well, apparently, because that place was knocked down maybe 10 years ago or so completely. It was abandoned for years. Apparently, there was loads of props of Batman inside there still for years and years and years after. I would have climbed in there and just took it all. I don't know what it was, but nobody knows that was made in our area. And when we were kids, can you imagine knowing that Batman was being filmed where we lived? I mean, Aliens, we would have been too young to know, But Batman, anyway, that was filmed. And when you look later, have a watch or look at online, it will tell you where it was filmed, and it shows you the pictures side by side, and it was scene for scene. Yeah. But anyway, just a little bit of trivia. But going back to Aliens, Sigourney Weaver smashes it. Now, this is what annoys me about all these strong women films. They're like, well, hold on, I find we have like Sigourney Weaver. I mean, us being men watching action films, would you replace her with anyone? Anyone?
No.
She's the one. No, she's, I find that she's her and Jamie Lee Curtis probably. I'm thinking they're top dogs when it comes to action movies, and I hate all this new. Oh, we need more stronger women to be. But we have loads of them already, and I just think that Sigourney Weaver is probably number one, and I wouldn't change her for nothing. She is the ultimate on that.
I don't know how many people know, but she actually got Oscar nominated for Aliens.
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, I mean, and you think, let's just put it in context here. That's Sigourney Weaver again, Oscar nominated for Aliens. Now, just the genre of film. How many people get Oscar nominated for Best
Not
Actress?
For that kind of thing, no.
What
were you talking about? Aliens, the second
Aliens,
one.
Aliens, yeah, the second one. She got Oscar nominated for Aliens, which I know that's hard to kind of think about, but that is what happened.
Especially for that kind of genre, yeah, it's crazy. But James Cameron. I mean, he was not long after 2 years before he done the first Terminator, which was what made his really made his name, wasn't it? And you're right, it has his name all over it. But the visuals, the special effects, like Bill Paxton, we had Kyle Reese or Michael Biehn, and they're all, each one of them had a character. Every single one of those characters had just a little bit of character, but it was enough for you to like them. Even Bill Paxton was a whiny little fella, but he was.
Yeah, Bill Paxton. I'm sure we'll mention him sort of briefly later on, but he became, after Predator 2, the only person to ever be killed by an alien, a Terminator, and a Predator.
Yeah,
which is but another fact,
and a line.
I had to look up some stuff. Obviously, I wanted to get as much information about some of these things that maybe I didn't know sort of beforehand. And something I found out about Aliens was there's like a lot of the scenes you see with all the cast where they're all chatting together, and he kind of tries to replicate some of the scenes from the original Alien where they're all around the table and they're chatting and they're getting to know each other and that.
Oh yeah, the knife scene.
And you really feel, don't you, like they're a team, don't you? And you really feel they really care for each other, and that they've all got each other's backs. And apparently those scenes were filmed at the end of the shoot, so he waited for the whole cast to sort of gel and really sort of like become friends, and then basically just film those scenes, knowing that they beat friends. And I think you know that information, and you go back and rewatch it. It's another one of those, like, I can really see how well they're getting on, and it feels like they've known each other for years, which is what it's supposed to, and that's because they'd spent months shooting the movie, and those were like the final scenes done. Also, another thing, which I found this out a couple of years ago, and I was shocked when I found this out, but Vasquez in Aliens
and Terminator 2 and Titanic.
I did. She's completely unrecognizable, isn't she? Completely.
I knew straight away. I knew straight away when I saw her, because I'd seen Aliens backwards, so I knew straight away. And it's James Cameron film. Terminator. She's in quite a few things, but as I said, she's the Irish woman in the Titanic, wasn't it, with the two kids?
Yeah.
And they were going now. I was like, "Where's you going at? Where's that big smart rifle thing you have?" You know.
So, just looking at the comments, Richard saying you could replace Ripley with John McClane.
Yeah, well, I'd expect that from Richard. Is that Richard Furling?
No, Richard Houghton.
Oh, Houghton. I should have known.
Yeah.
So if you see anything else that comes up about him, just ignore it. Do you know what I mean? I love the Die Hard movies, but I don't think you could replace. No, he's joking. I know this. He's a friend of mine. He's joking.
Right.
You better be, Richard. Get off here. What I was going to say is, anyways, about Alien, I was just saying it's probably one of my favorite films of all time. The second one. You could watch it without watching the rest.
To me, 1 and 2 are pretty much on par. They're pretty much. I think Alien is a perfect movie. Like I say, we are talking two different genres, so you've got to
completely. I just find Aliens more watchable. I can rewatch it easier than the first one. You know, it's like a 3-hour. It feels like a 3-hour long film with suspense, and we already know the suspense, but still good.
Yeah. I guess because I think Alien is probably the more suspenseful movie for me. Yeah. But
there's quite suspense in suspense in Aliens.
Yeah, it's definitely got suspense in it, but it's action. It's, you know, and it doesn't think too hard about itself. It's just a story of, let's see what happens if you put a bunch of Marines type people in a room with a bunch of aliens, and which they didn't have in the original Alien. They didn't have loads of guns and loads.
So you've got now these people who are going to kill, and the alien's still clever, smart. Also, the special edition. Do you remember the smart guns they put in the hallways? Do you remember they had? There was an India theatrical, and I love that scene where it just shows how many are coming, how it just keeps dying. You know, they run out of bullets eventually. It's like, how many is there? I always remembered that. I was like, they cut so much out, and these little things made a difference. But now, onto the next one along would have been 1987's Predator. You know, now we're talking like
Right.
a man's.
Okay, yeah.
A film was like, I think it was made for men only at the time. Do you know what I mean? But it's got a big, massive following on both sides. I mean, they're
Probably,
like this
I'd
film's
probably,
just a one-liner. There's no actual dialogue. It's who can say the best or biggest one-liner. Everything I can quote this whole film as a one-liner. It's everything. I mean, I was thinking about this earlier. There's very little dialogue that's not a one-liner. I just can't think.
yeah. But the problem with that is is in subsequent movies they try and replicate that,
And
in,
yeah.
and it just goes kind of downhill from there, I think.
So we got Van Damme, who originally played the first. It was who played Predator, wasn't it? And then he pulled out. The costume was all over the place, and he got a bit upset what was going on. I can't remember all the details, but he was and the Predator looked terrible. Did you see the costume designs?
Yeah, because they actually changed the design halfway through.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know how many people know, but and the good thing was they changed the design halfway through. They'd had about an hour of the movie shot, and they showed an hour of. I don't know if you know this. They showed an hour of the movie to the movie execs. So this is what we're making. This is where we are, and they were so impressed because they had like this time where they had to sort of remake. They were redoing the suits. They had all this time, so they edited together this hour, showed it to the executives. And they were so impressed. They give them like another X amount of money, which they put towards a lot of the explosive ending of the movie, which they wouldn't have necessarily had as much money to shoot some of those effects in the last third of the movie if they hadn't have had that pause and done that. But I mean, that suit weighed 200 pounds apparently.
I don't know. I mean, he's a big lad anyway, you know. What's his name? Is it Michael Hall or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he's a big lad.
Maybe someone in the comments could confirm for us what that was.
Michael Hall or something. I can't remember, but I do know is that Van Damme. I think he wanted his face in it more or something. I don't know, but he pulled out. He just, pulled out. But going back to, along with Terminator 1 and 2, because I don't know which is my favorite, I think Predator, sometimes I think it's my first or second favorite Arnold film. Sometimes I watch Terminator and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm like, oh my God, it's so good.
Especially as a young lad, you watch that film and growing up in the 80s, I probably watched that I didn't see that maybe until 1990, something like that, maybe. Yeah, maybe. And I was big into my wrestling at the time. I loved American wrestling.
Warrior.
Obviously, you've got Jesse Ventura in there, so I'm like Jesse Ventura. I love Rocky. I grew up loving Rocky. Everyone that knows me knows that I absolutely adore Rocky Balboa and all the films. You've got Apollo Creed in there. Then you've got, like I say, the Terminator, the biggest guy for me, like the biggest actor in the world at the time. Just the stature of the man. And then you've got all these other badass characters, and you can't really pick out anyone in there that you think, oh, they're a weak link. Everyone brings something to the table.
Every one of them is a tough guy.
And even the characters that were there to die and be killed by the Predator, they still brought something to the table. And
Kevin Peter Hall. That's right. Cheers, Jezza.
Yeah, cheers, Jez.
But yeah. Insane.
Yeah. I think that, they brought. I mean, Shane Black, obviously.
Yeah.
And apparently, Shane Black, so they say, he was brought in mainly to do a few script changes, but they didn't want it to be known that he was doing script changes, so they brought him in as because he's a bit of a background character. He's one of the ones that is a background. So they kind of brought him in as we'll have him as an actor, and it's a way of getting him on set. It's a way of having him around the film. But they knew his screenwriting capabilities, and they were like, "Do you want to have a look at this, that, and the other?" And obviously he tweaked a few things along the way, and now he's Mr. Predator, really. I mean, obviously with the Predator, he's kind of taken that.
He was the comedy relief is such, wasn't he, in it? I don't want to say certain things he said on it, but yeah, he was the comedy relief, and it kind of bounced off of, I can't remember his name, the Indian guy.
Oh,
I know this is terrible. I know these guys' names backwards, and now I can't think.
yeah.
But he was there, bounced off him because he was Mr. Serious. I mean, he was Mr. Serious.
Yeah. I mean,
I remember him
cutting himself with a knife.
Yeah, him. Yeah, he was.
I mean,
I know him. A lot of people don't know, but because he's kind of unrecognizable. He was in the first. What's that horror film? Poltergeist. He was in Poltergeist. If you watch him in that.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a bit of a like China on with the young girl on it, and he played the bad guy in. Was it Lock Up with Stallone?
Did he?
Seen Lock Up? Do you remember the guy? You remember the bad guy?
But years and years ago.
He was just the main bad guy on it in the prison he had to deal with. It was him. He's unrecognizable again. He plays a good bad guy. But on Predator, he was the silent, deadly type sort of thing, wasn't he? There's something in the trees. And what did he say? He says there's something in the trees.
Was his name Taylor or something like that?
I don't think he was Taylor. Maybe. It doesn't sound very what would you say? Red Indian.
Yeah, I just can't remember. Maybe maybe someone in the comments can they'll go search online. I'm sure they can tell us.
But yeah, he was been around. None of them really did well in movies after that. I mean, they were all great. I suppose Arnold was the main character, but I feel that Duke. What was it, Duke? He's in Commando, and if he did all right for himself as well. Is it Duke? Do you remember Jesse Ventura's friend?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on Commando, and I eat green berets for breakfast. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Thing. Yeah. And it's all this macho talk. I mean, you couldn't make that film today without it being a comedy, but back then it was just stick around.
Even the name Predator, which was a late change, I believe. The name change. It was going to be called The Hunter.
Oh, right.
I mean, can you imagine now? I mean, it's almost impossible to imagine. I mean, everyone knows it as Predator. Would it have been as successful being called The Hunter? I don't know.
I don't know, because Arnold at the time was becoming big deal. It may have been because he was in it. I mean, he was at just finished term. Just quickly, is because it was bothering me. His name was Billy. His name was Billy.
Billy,
yeah. How did we get Taylor? Yeah, but his name was Billy anyway. Yeah. So yeah, but Arnold was big at the time. He was becoming he became a megastar. He kind of still is, but he became a megastar, and that was the beginnings after Terminator 1, and he'd done a couple of other things. I think he'd done Commando before this. Running Man.
The Barbarian as well, obviously was around.
That wasn't a massive film in the time. It did okay, but the rest of them, like the Running Man, what was it? He hadn't done Total Recall at this point, but yeah, I mean, I think it might have been. But again, the makeup, it was suspenseful. All this, they didn't know what was going on, and he was taking them down one by one, and you can't see him at all until the end. That stuff.
Again, it's kind of like going back to the original Alien movie. The original Alien movie, it keeps the suspense going. It doesn't show you the alien too much. And with the Predator, at that end, when he takes that mask off, if you've never seen it before, you're kind of like, what is that? It's almost like
makeup is good, yeah.
When Darth Vader takes his helmet off, it is kind of like suspenseful. You've been building up the whole movie, and then the whole idea. I mean, apparently, another thing I heard researching this for tonight was that the guy, I don't know who the guy's name was, but the guy who was doing the suit and the look for the Predator, he was on a plane with James Cameron around about the time he was doing Aliens, and they were sort of riffing, and he said, James Cameron apparently said to him, "I'd love to see an alien with mandibles." So I think he kind of put that into his head. So he still designed it, obviously, and everything else. But James Cameron maybe had a little which again is an Alien Predator connection there.
Yeah, yeah, the beginnings of it. I just want to say about the cinematography and all the films so far are good, but I love the theme tune to Predator and the. Do you know the second Predator? Sorry, Alien film, which was the soundtrack was done by John Horner. He's he's actually my favorite next to John Williams. My favorite movie composer. Do you know him, James Horner? Did I say John Horner? James Horner. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't recognise the name, but I'm sure I've heard a lot of his.
Yeah, he's responsible for the second Star Trek film, and Aliens. He did Spider-Man. He's just. I'm surprised. You'd know who he is. You'd know he did Braveheart. He did the music to Titanic.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's really good. But now after Predator 1, what was next? I think it was Predator 2.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, Sally's put in the comments here, Predator 1 was great and real gritty. Number 2, not so much.
Right. I just want to tell you this about Predator 1 before we carry on. So, did you know that Arnold is a bit of an arsehole in a playful way? Do you know what he did to the other characters that were on set? All the other guys. They're all big, beefy guys, right? And they're all like trying to outdo each other in certain ways, right? And Arnold did this tactic that he did back in his Pumping Iron. He would get them up at 4 or 5 in the morning to go for like a 5-mile jog. And half of them used to drink a lot and smoke a lot. But after about the 4th mile, Arnold would be dying, but he wouldn't make out he was. And he'd egg them on. He was actually doing it on purpose to wind them all up, to make them feel inferior to him. But he was actually killing him apparently, as well. It was, but yeah, I was watching. I thought it was quite funny. So apparently Jesse Ventura was the only one who said, "I don't give a shit if you're the biggest. I'm staying in bed." But he was like, "What? You can't pick that up? What's wrong with you? That gun too heavy?" And it shows it on the special edition of him kind of like nudging him, like going, "Sure, you don't fall over holding that gun," and playing. But he was only being playful. He wasn't trying to be horrible, but he was just funny, I just thought that was a nice little touch, and it makes me feel like when I'm watching the film, the kind of laugh that they all really had outside making it, that you probably wouldn't get today. Predator 2.
So
did you know?
Schwarzenegger, what do you think about the fact that he turned down Predator 2?
Well, it was first of all, the story originally was supposed to be his brother. But I think at the time he was busy doing, I think it was Terminator 2. I think that's what I read. He was doing Terminator 2 at the time, so he couldn't do it. So now you've got a new Predator film, no Arnold in it, but we've got Danny Glover.
Apparently, Gary Busey's character, in one version of the script, Gary Busey's character was going to be Arnold's character.
I think I might have read that as well.
But obviously, because he turned it down,
they
then created a completely different character, which Gary Busey played.
Phoebe,
because he didn't want it. He didn't want it in LA. He didn't want a Predator movie set in the town, in the city.
Well, I think it was the only way to kind of go. And I think you think about it, right? All the sequels all back then were literally just copy and paste. They tried to do it in the future, which was supposed to be 1995 or 6 at the time, which it was 1990. They didn't really push the boat out that far. But I was going to say and you had the Jamaicans that were doing into the voodoo, and they were kind of aware what Predator was going on. I like Predator 2, and I think it gets more hate than it deserves. I think Danny Glover, he held his own on it.
I'm the same. I mean, again, you've got to look at it as it's not Predator 2. It's in the same way that Aliens isn't Alien 2. I know it is Predator 2, but it's a different movie. It's taking it in a different direction, and it's approaching it from a different direction. And it's not going to be the all-out action movie that Predator was, in the same way that Aliens isn't the sci-fi classic that Alien was. It took it in a different direction. And for some people, they're not going to like that, and they're going to go into a Predator movie expecting Arnold Schwarzenegger type full-on action. That's what they want, which is why we got Predators, I think, that's the whole reason Predators is set in a jungle, but we'll come on to
Yeah.
that. You know, so yeah, again, I agree with you. I like Predator 2.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not
was
going to
happy
say,
when I saw it.
I'm not going to
I
go as
thought
far
it
as
was good.
say it's as good as Predator, because it's not, but it's not by
Well,
any means a
we
bad
all
movie.
know what this film spawned off. This film was the reason for Alien versus Predator, pretty much so. Do you know at the end with the
Yeah, with
swallows,
the alien
you know,
skull.
the skeletons? I remember when I first saw it, I was like, oh my god! But it took, I don't know how long was it, 15 odd years after that. I think it was before any of that. But there was loads of comic books, wasn't it? But again, they changed the design. I don't know. Is it Peter Hall? Was it him again? Was he playing the Predator? I'm not sure. And then
I think he was, yeah.
we have the disc. Now, one thing I noticed about Peter Hall, he's a big man. He's tall. He's very like he's 7 foot or something. But he's not like Ultimate Warrior or Hulk Hogan or what's his name? The Undertaker big. He's big, but Undertaker big. And it kind of makes him more agile looking in a sense. So he's throwing this disc around. And the reason why I was saying that is I'm going to get to later on in the series, like how they became beefcakes, like, you know. But as I say, he played the agile Predator. He looked a bit different. The mask was different. We had all the new cool weapons. Like, do you remember the web kind of wire thing that kind of ties them into the wall? We had the spear. We had the disc. Yeah. So we were introduced to all these new cool weapons, which became a big factor in the Alien films after this. You know, so it makes it part of it. And I think, oh yeah, was it? You remember the girl, the main girl on it? She was pregnant. He left her alone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she was from The Running Man, wasn't she? She was just from The Running Man. Do you remember The Running Man?
I remember The Running Man.
She's Arnold's girlfriend on The Running Man. But as I say, Bill Paxton was on it, and Gary Busey. Obviously, we have Busey's son on Predators, and they're saying that's supposed to be his son, his real son. But you know, Gary Busey's son was on the Shane Black's Predators.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as I say, like he was good. I just really like the film, and it gets a lot of hate, but I think it did okay financially, just not what they were hoping.
There's one thing at the end which I'm still not 100% down with, and they explored this more in future Predator movies, which I'm still not 100% convinced with, which is the way they don't kill Danny Glover at the end. Yeah, they obviously, obviously the Predators come in.
He beat him.
Obviously, what did you get? 3 or 4, 5 Predators come in to pick up the Predator at the end.
So
they could easily got rid of him, but they didn't, and that started this whole respect thing with the humans and everything else.
Well, didn't they do that in the first one though? He kind of he beat him. I suppose he beat him anyway, but yeah. It kind of felt like the Predator did respect Arnold. No, he took his mask off and let's fight.
I still think if he had the chance, he blew himself up, didn't he, in the original Predator?
Yeah, I think that's to get rid of evidence.
He wanted to blow Arnold up. He would, Arnold ran away and survived, but he wanted to kill him. If he was going to die, he wanted to kill him as well. I just feel like it gets put into later movies like the Alien versus Predator series, where you get a woman teaming up with a Predator, and even in the next sequel, Predators, obviously they team up with a Predator, and I'm just not quite down with a Predator actually teaming up with humans.
I know. I'm going to get to that in as well myself in a minute, but I just, the gun he throws him at the end of Predator 2, it was like some old Spanish Armada gun or something, 17 or 1500s. Why do you think he gave him that?
Do you know the answer? Is that are you asking?
I actually don't know the answer. I'm just asking, why do you think he gave it to him? What is your opinion when you saw it?
I think they're trying to say the Predators have been around for hundreds of years, and they've been revisiting Earth for hundreds of years.
That gives me, that's what I thought anyway. But do you think he gave it to him as a gift, a trophy, or to let him know we've been around for years? I don't know.
I think they gave it to him as a gift, but I think the producers of the movie gave that specific item so that the watchers would understand that they've been around. You know, I think it was more for the audience.
Oh yeah, I always like to think it was a trophy or a gift for him.
Yeah, I definitely think it was a gift
that you give someone. But all right, but I always like to think of it as a gift, and I wish they pointed out that maybe it was from some special warrior that actually defeated them back in maybe the 17, 18, 1500s, wherever it was, you know. But again, we have the alien skull in the background, so now we know. Oh, everyone went mental for that, which I did too, to be honest. I was like, oh my god. And I think we had a couple of dinosaurs, a couple of other things where Alien was the one.
I'm sure I saw it on the first viewing. You know, I think I had to rewatch it to notice it because it was one of
I got it straight away. I got it straight away. Yeah, but as I said, I think it's a solid film, a good sequel. They tried something different. I think it worked. I thought Danny Glover held his own in the film, and he played a good action man. I mean, everyone knows him from I'm Too Old for This Shit in Lethal Weapon and stuff like that. And he's quite stocky in it as well. Like, he's kind of hench in it, you know.
I thought they were clever not to cast someone that was Arnold-esque. Because if they'd have cast someone who was literally built, you know, like a Superman, then there have been those instant comparisons of he's not as good as Arnold. Whereas you can't compare Arnie.
No, he was vulnerable. He was vulnerable in this, but you know, I think he was good. I don't know why they cast him. Was he the only one they could get at the time? But it worked. Now, what was next? Alien 3. Now, this is what you're going to tell us all about because my memory's going a bit slow. Well, I will tell you what I remember and what I think you can take over. So, Alien 3, as you can imagine, I bet you were the same. When it was announced, it was coming out. Oh, you know, it's like, wow, finally, like, because we want to know what happens to, was it Hicks, Ripley, and Newt, right? Yeah. And we're like, oh my God. So I remember me and my mates, we snuck in to see this because we were below age at the time. I think it was maybe 15. But we snuck in to see this, right? And like, obviously, we're still being very young. We probably just watched Aliens again, waiting for this. And then Hicks dead, Newt dead. Huh? All right. And it's a very slow tone again, like it was in the first one. And all I remember of it is, now I like it today. I do. I'll defend it. I like it today. I did like it after the first few viewings, after I accepted the fact of what kind of film it was. I didn't just shun it. But I do know she got X amount of millions to shave her head on screen. So, you know, they gave her a lot of money for it. I know Charles Dance was on it, which I was aware of him from The Golden Child. People know him from Game of Thrones, mostly. But I know him from, do you remember The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy and stuff like that? He was on English films all the time.
He went on to play in Last Action Hero, wasn't it?
I was going to say with the bullseye.
Yeah.
But I like him. He was on Ali G as well, wasn't he? He played the corrupt politician. What else I'm going to say is we have a range of English actors on it. Who was the American guy? I don't know. I can't remember his name at the top of my head. But yeah, as I said, I was underwhelmed when I first saw it, and I do like it today. I do, and I'll defend it.
It's probably the most studio interfered film that I know of.
That's what I was going to say. I'm going to let you take over. All I know is it was going to be a wooden planet or something at one point, which sounded crazy, which may be good. And then David Fincher wanted to take his name off the film. That's all I know. That's all I can remember.
Well,
you tell us all.
I can't list them all, but I'm going to say there was 7 directors before David Fincher, right? And David Fincher at the time, this was his first film, and I think one of the reasons why they gave it to him was because they kind of thought he's not going to. It's his first film. He's mainly known for music videos. So they'd give it to him. He wouldn't cause a fuss. He's going to toe the line. He's going to do what the studio wants. But they spent something like £13 million of perhaps dollars, $13 million on 10 different versions of the script, right, before it even stopped. Just to give you, again, I could go on, this could go on for an hour, me talking about this film, but just to try and give you a quick rundown, one of the scripts was on a space station. There was no Ripley. She wasn't in it. It was Hicks and Bishop. And they were gonna be on a space station. The space station was gonna have different levels, and there was gonna be a level on there where they were breeding xenomorphs, because why not? You know, that's what these people seem to want to do in these films. And they were obviously going to get out and do it all. There was another one where Ripley was going to be in a coma for the whole movie, and she was going to wake up at the end, and that was going to set up for a fourth film. There was one that involved human hybrids of xenomorphs. So again, they were breeding. The most batshit crazy one that I think I've read was there was one, and it was going to be directed by, I think, the director of Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Not that I can remember his name off the top of my head.
Rennie Harlan.
But he was going to be the director at the time. And
Rennie Harlan, yeah. He did.
At the end of the movie,
Gina Davis.
There was going to. Was he really?
Yeah, he did. The Last Kiss Goodnight or something. Long Kiss Goodnight. But yeah, Rennie Harlan. Yeah, I know. I've watched something of him recently. So I know.
Towards right at the end, the final sort of battle in that version of the script was going to be all these hundreds of xenomorphs coming together, right? To almost like a Power Rangers moment. They were going to come up and create one massive xenomorph and attack. Now, look, how crazy and how out there and how rubbish would that have been if we'd got that version? So
I don't know. It sounds all right to me. I would like to have seen it.
You can't have them. You can't have that, can you? Like, so they eventually got down to the version with the prison. But again, there's so many differences to how the movie was done, and you can tell that there's some stuff on there that clearly shouldn't have been on there.
Well, the Wooden Planet and the monks, but the monks were still kind of kept in it in the sense, if you get what I mean.
The original tagline when they released a teaser for Alien 3, the original teaser, which might have been a year before it came out, it was something like, "On Earth, everyone can hear you scream." Now, we all know Alien 3 didn't take place on Earth. So that just gives you an idea of, even when they were releasing teaser trailers for it,
they don't know what they were doing
on Earth. So this is, but I think Fincher did what he could, and we obviously have to mention about the assembly cut. It's not the director's cut. You'd never be called, there is no director's cut, because, as you probably said previously, Fincher does not want to talk about it. He's kind of disowned the movie completely. He very rarely talks about it. So there is no director's cut, but there is an assembly cut.
And is that what he called it? I thought it was the director's cut. I'm not sure. Yeah, I know what you're talking about with the ball.
It's actually officially called the assembly cut. Right. And he didn't come back to cut it. He didn't have nothing to do with it. It's not Fincher's movie, because he didn't have any more footage that he could kind of put into it. But there was obviously more footage that had been obviously directed, that the powers that be decided, "I will put this in the movie." But it does add, it adds an extra half an hour, I think, to the running time. It changes.
Well, I know it's a bull, isn't it? It's a bull rather than
it's an ox rather than a dog.
Also, it shows them picking her up covered in lice or
Whereas if you look, both the dog and the ox are covered in lice, which is kind of a connection of, when you realise then that obviously she's got this thing inside her and everything else. There's that little connection there, isn't there? Because you see the dog and the ox covered in lice as well. Right. There's if you see the original scene as well, that when they find her in the original cut, there's a bit where they're talking. The guy's talking on the radio, and it's really muffled, and it's a real big close-up shot, and it just doesn't feel right, because why would it be muffled when it's literally like, you know, right in on his face as close as I am now, you know. Whereas in the assembly cut, it's shot from above the ship, and it's the same audio, and it
Right.
feels more like it should be in there because
Yeah.
it's more far away audio. Just little things like that kind of, for me, made it feel more like a good
Well,
movie. And I think Alien 3 is one of, it's certainly, it's my next favorite movie in the Alien franchise, without a shadow of that. And I put it up there probably just under Predator.
really.
Yeah. So, you know, if I'm going to talk about Alien and
Right,
Alien,
well, I like Alien 3. I mean, obviously, when I was underwhelmed at first, but over the years, I mean, I even liked it a few times after watching because you accept, all right, but it's still aliens.
I mean,
I like the
if you
fact that
remember
it
as
could
well,
run around on the roof. It was a fast because it was supposed to be a dog because it was faster. He looked more slender as well. Do you know what I
I
mean?
mean, we mentioned about the CGI and the effects of Alien
Yeah,
and how
but that
you
was
said
today. It was
the effects
90.
in Alien 3, they don't hold up. I'm not going to beat around the
Some
bush. They,
parts are all right, you know, the practical bits,
yeah,
you know, the close up, but some
the,
of it. Do
yeah.
you remember the bit that goes up to a face? That wasn't practical. That was a practical, wasn't it?
Well,
And looks
yeah.
all right.
The other thing to remember is this was made a year before Jurassic Park, and they were going to use ILM, and for whatever reason they pulled out. Whether that was because they wanted to put more into Jurassic Park or whatever, I don't know what it was. But they pulled out. They used someone else, and they went back to using sort of more practical effects. But I don't think they held up. Some because they use like these tiny little models for running around and that, and I don't think they really hold up too well. You know, whereas if they shot it in 1994 after Jurassic Park with the technology that they created for that sort, you know, after Jurassic Park, you know, the effects probably would have held up a lot more. But another thing I'm going to say about Sigourney Weaver as well is, as mentioned previously, she was an Oscar-nominated actress at this point.
Sorry, just so ROS1101. We'll get to Alien versus Predator. Is that what it says? ROS10101.
As someone on YouTube, I think, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, that is Ryan O'Sullivan, who was born on the 11th of the 11th, 01. I know because he's my son. I can tell. I know. You're trying to come on code, pretend it ain't you. I got you. But yeah, we'll get to that, mister. He's in the other room listening now. Anyway, so, but yeah, but again,
because she was an Oscar-nominated actress, she had a lot of clout, and she didn't necessarily want to do it.
A big deal at this point, wasn't she?
So,
she was a big deal.
She had a clause in the contract saying no guns. So the whole plot of no guns on the prison, which a lot of people say, oh, that how can you have no guns in a prison? And it is pretty stupid. You'd expect them to have some guns in the prison somewhere,
or something, yeah.
But that isn't David Fincher. That isn't the studio. That was literally part of the contract from Sigourney Weaver, that she's anti-guns and she didn't want to have any guns in the film. And obviously, she was at a stage in her career where she had a lot.
Yeah, I did hear that. Yes, she was right anti-guns, and it was her down to her. There wasn't. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, big deal. She said it, and they had to do it.
One more thing I will say about the assembly cut, which changes from the original cut, which again is a big bone of contention for me, is the ending. Now, the ending of the original, again, spoilers here, she kills herself. She throws herself into the fire.
Really?
And as she's coming down, obviously you get the chest burster scene.
Yeah.
Out it comes. Or in the assembly cut, no chest burster scene. Which I personally,
I didn't notice.
Yeah. And what you've got to think is, with the chest burster scene, that's 100% she's dead. There's no way she's coming back from that. Now, I know in hindsight, we know Alien Resurrection, we're going to come on to that, everything else. But at the time watching that movie, when it came out, when you watch it without the chest burster scene, that is kind of leaving it open of, well, there could be a fourth movie. They could have somehow saved her, somehow. Whereas chest burster scene completely knocks that out the park.
Yeah. Well, speaking about that part, Bishop turns up, right? Now, was he an android or was he human?
Human.
You think he was human?
Human. Yeah.
Because his ears hanging off, he don't seem to be bothered about it. Like, he's off, his head's hanging off. I was like, I'm throwing. They seem to mess around with Bishop, his timeline, quite a lot over the next.
Well, you've got the other character in in the Alien versus Predator, don't you?
Bishop,
which
Weyland.
His name's Charles Bishop Weyland.
Yeah. So maybe it's a guy, I don't know. They were just messing around with the timeline. But again, I liked it, and I will give it a side from that film, or even more than a side thumb. I would definitely give it a thumbs up for that. I mean, not 2, but 1. But the next one along would be Alien Resurrection.
Would it? Alien Resurrection.
It would be the next one along, the next one that came out. Because I think after that was Alien versus Predator in a few years later. So we got Alien Resurrection. Go on, tell me.
The biggest disappointment in all that. I mean, like I say, I've already mentioned Alien 1, Aliens 2, A-star movies for me.
So
Aliens
is based human and old. Hold on. But Aliens and Predators, he's human and then he's old in 2004. Yeah, we'll get to that. Sorry, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, that's they're not canon, are they? The Alien versus Predator movies aren't strictly
canon.
Not.
I don't know what they are, but anyway.
But yeah, just the whole tone of the movie again is wrong. And I think it comes down to a writer and a director having 2 different visions. Because are you aware of who wrote this movie?
Was it Joss Whedon?
Yeah. Which and he's not known for writing. I mean, I know he's done Serenity, but I mean, this is like proper, like Alien is something different to Serenity, isn't the Alien franchise?
It's still a sci-fi thing, though.
But he wanted to make it a lot lighter, probably more like Serenity. But that's not the way in which the Alien movies have gone. They've always been quite
dark.
18, 15 at the best. You're not going to find a fun Alien movie, if you know what I mean.
Why? What was this then? Wasn't it a 15? No.
It was, yeah. It was a 15. But what I mean is, he probably would have made it even. He probably would have wanted it to be a 12 or or whatever.
Justice League. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the way. Justice League. That's a whole different ballgame, that one. So I think so. I don't think I think the director wanted to take it in one direction, wanted it to be really dark, but the actual script said a completely different thing. So you end up with this mismatch. I mean, the plot. Is there any point of Ripley? What is the point of Ripley in this film? There is no need for her.
Star power.
There is no need. Forget Star power. I appreciate what you're saying. They need to sell the movie, but what I mean is, there's no actual plot device that says Ripley needs to be in this movie.
Right now, everyone's going to go, what? I like Alien Resurrection.
Oh my God.
I went to see this with my friends when it came out, and I think I was at the age where I was allowed to see it. Yeah, at the time, barely. And it's like, I'm a grown. I can go and finally see it legally, And I was buzzing coming out of the cinema. I was buzzing. I was like, especially that water scene, with they were chasing. I was like, oh, that's so good, because I thought it looked great. The bit when they were on the water trying to breathe and he was chasing him. I was up and down about Ripley's character because I was happy enough with her. Like, I felt there was a feel to Aliens 2 with it. It felt like they could. I liked the characters, the pirates who came in. I liked them. What was he? Ron Perlman before he was.
Ron Perlman, yeah.
But I liked all the characters. They felt. It's a colourful film. I really liked it.
With the characters like Ron Perlman, you can tell that's Joss Whedon's writing, because they've got those sort of one-line, trying to be funny quips, as opposed to, the one-liners from previous movies, which were like, "I'm really scared, we're all going to die." It was far more tongue-in-cheek, You know, I mean, Ryan O'Sullivan's put on there, didn't care she was a clone, and the stupid alien that loved her at the end. What was going on? I mean,
yeah, that white alien at the end, right, creeped me right out. I swear to God, it was creeped me right out. I don't know what the hell was that.
The newborn.
I mean, what was I see? I'm still a bit confused about what happened there. So, the alien got pregnant because of Ripley. Is that right? Because there was that weird scene where, I think there was a special edition cut where it shows her sandwiched between two aliens standing up. Did you see that?
That doesn't exist. That's some sort of weird cut that you've obviously come up with. Did you dream that cut up? Did you, Derek?
I say that out loud. Yeah, no. There was. It's just a bit of an uncomfortable scene, but I can't understand where that came from. It came from the Queen, because the Queen had her ovaries or something, human ovaries or something like that. I don't really know.
I mean, let's start from the beginning. Are you telling me, right, the first 3 Alien movies, in every single movie, whether they're going up against just a crew, or whether they're going up against Marines, or they're going up against a whole prison full of murderers and rapists and everything else, right? They kick ass. Yeah, the aliens, they kill virtually everyone. Yeah, and at one of the first scenes in Alien Resurrection is, I can't remember his name, but the actor, he looks puny, he looks really annoying.
What are you talking about on Alien Resurrection?
Alien Resurrection, yeah.
Which one are you talking about? Which guy?
About the scientist. That he gets killed.
Chucky. You mean Chucky? Chucky the doll. What's his name?
Well,
Chucky.
Brad. Is that
Brad.
Chucky?
Yeah, it's Chucky. You know where the alien, he's talking away like, that's Chucky. Yeah, Brad Dourif. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, he's got them locked behind glass, and he's sort of breathing on the glass and mocking this alien. I mean, come on, this is what we spoke about before, like the perfect engineered monster.
Yeah, it is. That's what we'll get to in Alien vs Predator. But yeah,
here we have this alien locked behind glass by a species, a human, that is clearly nowhere near as evolved as the alien is. He deserved to die. Ryan says he definitely deserves to die. And
transfer into a doll's body. But no, because I mean, how do they not know that those cages wouldn't hold with something would have acid for blood? Do you know what I mean? But again, we overlook it. But again, I thought the film looked good. I thought the aliens looked great. You know, the bit when they were in the cage, they looked really good.
He's probably the best looking alien. I'll give you that.
The
best looking
alien.
I
like it when I know CGI. You know, when he threw the grenade and it ran at the camera, it dropped into, because he was trying to kill some of his soldiers because he knew they were going to be torn apart. Do you remember those pods that were leaving?
Yeah.
Also, do you remember the main, we'll say the leader of the pirates? He died quite early. He was the bad guy from The Crow. If you've seen The Crow, he's the main bad guy from The Crow. But I actually liked his character. I hope he stayed alive. I will defend, like, the bit when she goes into and sees all the different failed attempts to bring her back. That was quite grisly. You know, Kill Me, one of them they were just all messed up. Do you remember that bit? Yeah, that was grisly. I will defend it. I'll defend the film.
I do try and forget Alien Resurrection, if I'm honest, because I watched them all back to back a couple of years ago, and watching the last one was just so painful. Because pain came not long after this one for me. But that's when the pain really began for me. But again, it's 1997. Maybe it was what with the times. They just did it for money. I personally like it. I find it quite rewatchable. I find it very entertaining. I like the aliens on it. The end bit, I think, on the special edition shows them on Earth and Paris has fallen. Have you seen it?
You probably don't remember.
No,
But on
no.
the theatrical cut at the end, it shows them they're returning to Earth. On that, they just killed the white alien. What was he called? I can't remember. And they're returning. But on the special edition, it shows them on Earth, and it just looks like something out of Terminator 2: The Future, and Paris is all smashed up. And I don't know, with Winona Ryder, she was very popular at the time, so I know that's why she was on it, basically.
She wasn't very good. She was not very good in that film.
No. And
that's the thing.
Yeah,
the whole cast, they tried to reenact a similar cast from. I think he was going for Aliens. Oh, sorry, I think he was going for Alien. He was going more for like the original Alien type of movie.
I don't know. I thought it was more Aliens. I thought like they were more kind of, one-liners type guys, the pirates that came in, sort of thing.
I don't think you didn't feel for the group like you did in Alien or even Aliens.
Not really.
You really you wanted Hicks to survive. You want you wanted.
I was pissed he didn't. I was pissed off he didn't badly. Even to now, I'm still upset about it. He didn't survive. I loved him on Terminator, but again, I like the film. I can't. I'll defend it because also, as I said, the water bit when they're underwater.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the one thing that did bother me, and I can't defend this bit, right? So, do you remember they did finally get him out and they couldn't breathe and they burst through and there was loads of alien eggs above the water where they had to climb the stairs. Now, do you remember the guy with the dreadlocks? He had the guy who couldn't walk on his back. Do you remember?
Is it the bit when he shoots the gun?
Yeah, he's shooting down. But do you remember he got acid on his face?
Yeah.
The guy with the dreadlocks, and then he cut himself loose and went into war. I was like, hold on, you got acid on your face. You're not dead. Why are you dropping yourself into certain death? Like, do you remember he got acid on his face, and they were like, no, and he started undoing the belt.
But this is nothing that you just reminded me of, right? There's a scene there where he shoots the gun up on the roof.
That's what I mean.
And it ricochets off the roof, hits another bit of the roof, comes down. I mean, come on.
I know we're entering Joss Whedon territory there. Do you know what I mean? But again, I like the characters. I felt there was a better film in there somewhere, but I do find it rewatchable. I find it very fast, good pacing. So there's no long, slow bits in it. I like it. I always watch it when I've got OCD. I watch all. I can't just watch one. I can't watch part two. It has to be all in one
Ali
go.
agrees. He says didn't connect with the group in Alien Resurrection. I agree. You didn't. Like I say, you didn't have that connection. I think with the characters as you had in previous movies.
Is Sally Jones your sister?
She is.
Yeah, I'm not listening to her then. She don't know what she's talking about. I'm only joking. Right.
So we're moving on to Alien versus Predator then. So we're leaving canon.
You just watched these for the first time the other day, right?
I did, yeah. Yeah. Because
why?
When they came out, I couldn't bring myself
2004
to pay money to watch movies that I could clearly see weren't going to be good. And I've watched them. I've sat through them. I've studied them. I've got things I can say about them. I mean, what you obviously more of an Alien vs Predator fan. So let's see what you.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan at all. First of all, we have the director. Oh my god, it's gone out of my head again. Who made the Resident Evil movie? Ryan O'Sullivan. I know you know the name of this guy. Please put it up.
Is it Anderson?
That's it. W.S. Anderson. Now, me and you got to do a video on all the Resident Evil films. Now, you haven't seen them, you said. So I can't say too much about it. But the fact that they got him, I don't want to say anything about Resident Evil since you haven't seen it, and I want you to feel my pain. But what was I going to say was he is, I don't know where they just give this guy money to make films. Now, going back to the first Alien vs Predator, I don't mind.
He made Event Horizon, I think.
Yeah, but that was about the only good film, and I didn't love it, to be
Yeah,
honest with you.
I think because that was looked upon as being quite alien-esque. I think
Yeah.
that's maybe one
Oh,
of the reasons.
It didn't do well when it came out, but it's got a massive cult following now, and they're saying it's a great film. It's okay, but anyway. So we have the first Alien, and the girl they try as we spoke. They tried to make a new Ripley, as far as I'm concerned. They tried to make a Ripley on her, and I find that it was a bit forced, and that's why it didn't work. All right, but forget about her. These predators were like wrestlers, right? They even running, they looked like they couldn't run properly. They were so big. Like he must have went to WWE and said, "Right, lads, who you lot is going to put on a
They only
mask?"
get bigger, don't they? They only get bigger. You know, you go on to like the Predators movie or the Predator when you've got these super predators. I mean,
No, but these guys were actors. Like they were
yeah,
just like they were beefcakes. Now, first of all, Predator, as we know, his law, he don't kill people with. They don't kill people with no weapons, but they killed a load of humans in it, and that pissed me off. Now, I don't mind the idea of the fight scenes. Some of the fight scenes were good. You know, like when the predator threw the alien. But as far as I'm concerned, I wanted to see more of that.
I mean, the Predator through the Alien, right, Derek? Yeah. When I watched that, having watched Batman v Superman first, I'm watching it and I'm thinking that's just like Batman swinging Superman round in.
Yeah,
and I
actually
appreciate
slow motion as well, wasn't it?
yeah,
Slow mo.
PBS come afterwards.
See, as far as I'm concerned, predators have no chance against aliens. Weapons is the only thing that they have, and even then, that it's still. I mean, I think Alien killed two of them, one hit, and one of them had loads of weapons. But they were the bits that we want to watch. When we hear Alien versus Predator, people run out to see Alien versus Predator. They want to see humans versus Alien and Predator. But I suppose they had to throw the element in. It was in the Antarctica or the North Pole or something like that. They found the thing. Yeah, I was going with it. Now, I was disappointed after I watched the film.
It was certainly a better film than the sequel.
Sorry?
It was certainly a better film than the sequel.
Well, it was a 12 as well, right? So the violence was cut down. The violence was pulled back a little bit more than what you expect. I suppose I should have expected the film to be the way it is. Now I don't mind it too much today. I don't love it. I just had no atmosphere about the film. The characters, I didn't care about any of them. As you said, her teaming up with the Predator. Oh, he's got respect for her, and he gives her bloody a spear and a shield for to defend herself, and then he says, "Come with me, partner." Do you know what I mean? It's like no.
Yeah, I mean, Sally's in the comments there. She really loves the Alien versus Predator movies. And she can't believe we don't. I mean, she's saying they have good tech. No. It's a good match. Unless there was tons of aliens, then the Predator wouldn't stand a chance. I get all that, but there's just no way the Predator would team up that quick as well with him.
He wouldn't need to.
There's only one reason humans are there, as in there's only one reason the Predators put humans there, and that's that they want them to be there to birth the aliens. That's what they're there for. Yeah. You know, so they don't care about the humans. So to then have that whole scene and the scene where he's marking her and all of that, I mean, you know. Yeah. But I must admit, I have a I enjoyed AVP more after watching AVP 2 because that took it to a whole different level.
Right. So first of all, again back with Alien vs Predator, I don't mind watching it now. I was just a bit disappointed. I don't mind watching it now. It has some good parts to it. Some of it,
Indiana Jones meets Alien vs Predator. It's kind of got this underground pyramid.
Yeah, There is some good elements to it, and I suppose it's all. Yeah, it wasn't as terrible, but
it's the sort of film I can have in the background. I could be watching it in the background, doing something else.
Yeah, no, I'll watch it. But
I'd enjoy it.
What happened was there was an outcry about this film. Everyone went crying about it. There wasn't enough violence, and it wasn't an 18 or a 15. So. Alien, no, was it? What was next? Was Was it Predators? I think it was Requiem.
LVP2 next, I think. Yeah, Predators was until 20.
Yeah, okay. So Requiem came out, and they decided to go with I think a 15 or an 18 certificate, right? Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, it was R-rated. Yeah,
and we obviously at the end of the first Alien vs Predator, we have the promise of a hybrid of the two, you know. So all right, we went in, and first of all, first scene you see an alien, a predator from a predator planet. I was like, okay, you know, and it zooms into Earth like there's a hybrid running around. We need to get rid of this, and they send some kind of top bloody SAS type alien in to go and get it, like, you know. So anyway, all right, okay, yeah. The whole film was dark, so when all the alien was attacking, I couldn't really see much. I didn't like the look of the alien and the hybrid, the alien, pred alien. I didn't like how it looked. It wasn't frightening to me.
I think I agree with you. It was incredibly
the
dark.
Humans were in it too. I don't care who's come back from war. I don't care that you're estranged with your brother and sister. I don't care that you work for a pizza. I don't care that you like that girl. This isn't Dawson's Creek you're watching.
This is my opinion on Requiem. Okay, I agree. It was incredibly dark. When I say
dark, I don't mean dark in mood. I mean I couldn't see anything.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I've actually seen some artwork that they released pre-film, and it's got better looking predators and aliens than you see in the movie because it is so dark. You know, I think they missed the beat by making it so dark, because some of the artwork I've seen with them fighting and that is incredible.
If you remember the first part in the tunnel, there was something that happens in earlier on in the film in a kind of a tunnel, and I literally couldn't see a thing. I literally had to turn the brightness up.
There's a couple of homeless people there or something, and they
something like that. I can't remember, but I remember I couldn't see nothing. And I remember the fights at the end, and it was dark and it was raining. Couldn't see a thing. I don't know what was going on. So yeah, the humans on it. Hold on, who wrote all that?
Oh, Ryan.
Yeah, you expect me to read all that? I'm not reading all that. What's all that? Like aliens. But as I said, like we are here showing our faces.
We are here just showing our faces. Yeah, I mean, Ryan's put down, this film sucked so bad. The Predators should have caught the alien queen that was blasted out of space in Aliens. They should have brought it into Earth before the first Predator film, tested on it, and got an alien skull like there was in Predator 2. Forward to 2004, they could have made that the queen was still alive from the 80s, and there was a load of eggs and a load of architects could have got face hugged, and now there's a planet full of Xenos, and the Predator finally feels like there's a... Yeah, I mean that's
your homework.
That's a completely different film. I mean, but for me, like, the characters, the guy that comes in, he's an ex-convict, yeah? Right, he comes in, bear in mind, I'm watching it for the first time this week, yeah? He comes in, he meets up with his buddy, who's now sheriff.
Yeah.
And then his sheriff, within 10 minutes of the movie, his sheriff's telling him all this information about these deaths that's going on. And then later on in the movie, when they're in the school and there's people dying, and then they run out and they get the sheriff. What does the sheriff do? Does he get a load of his policemen and go in there because there could be a murderer in there? No. He gets his convict buddy to go in with him, and just none of that is believable. Just none of it whatsoever. And do you know the reason why this is an 18 rated movie? It's rated 18 because
I found that recently.
It's rated 18 because of the kid chest burst scene at the start of the movie. At the start of the movie,
the dad and the son sort of thing. Yeah.
So it's the first time we've ever seen like a young child get an alien burst out of him, and then that scene with the pregnant woman towards the end. I mean,
that was a bit rough. Yeah.
Who wants to see that?
It was going down a throat or something. Yeah, it was a bit rough. Yeah. And you know what they done there was quite grisly, but it didn't go with the rest of the film. If the rest of the film was grisly, that like the second Alien film, you could say, but it was just no. Where did that come out?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? No.
Like I say, there's reasons and there's ways you can make a film at 18. You can make it.
It was like Dawson's Creek with aliens in it. I didn't care about the characters. I don't give a shit about the bullies.
It was the closest thing to a slasher alien movie. Yeah, because
it focused too much on humans in this.
You'd expect that in Freddy or Jason. You'd expect to see kids partying, getting undressed, going for a swim, getting killed off. You'd expect to see that. You don't expect to see that in an Alien or a Predator movie.
Yeah, do you like the swimming pool scene when they're all jumping around? The bit I did like though is when they threw that spear at that girl got stuck up on the wall. Do you remember the girl that he fancied, the young guy fancied?
Yeah. I mean, basically everyone.
So what you're saying is, I watched this build up to you two getting together, and she's gone. That's a good thing, I suppose. But I didn't
get to the chopper moment. Come on. It's got to be spoken about.
Right. Well, only one person can do that, and if you ain't got that person, just don't go there with that, you know. But they went there. The film. At the end, didn't they have some special ops appear? And they were going to be trying to do a special sequel to it, like some kind of advanced.
What they did was, obviously they nuked the whole town, didn't they? Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And then someone took the gun, one of the Predator's guns, put it in a suitcase and took it to a woman who ended up. She's the head of the Wutani, whatever it's called, Yutani.
I don't remember.
The group that is all over Alien and Predator. She's the head of that. So it's implying that she'll use that tech in the future to make other things.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say, look, I love Predator movies. I love Alien movies. We've spoke about many of them already, but the AVP movies, for me,
no,
if they weren't around, it wouldn't make any difference to me.
No. Again, I don't mind the first one now so much. It's just it has its moments. Just quickly, in your opinion, who would win, Alien or a Predator? Who is the badder?
I think I was having this discussion with someone else the other day, and I've always thought that the Alien is the perfect killing machine. It's the perfect creature.
Yeah.
However, I understand the Alien is probably more vulnerable. As in the Alien is effectively naked. There's no. I know it has got armor, but there's no armor. I mean, you see some of the kills in the first Alien versus Predator film. They're literally slicing off their faces with the knives and that they throw and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, the weapons. So clearly, these things can be killed quite easily. I appreciate.
What are you talking about? Them slicing who? Sorry, on Alien versus Predator.
In one of the, I think it's the first Alien versus Predator film. Alien gets out this spinning knife thing, and he chucks it down, and it literally slices the face off an alien. So, and all that is, I know it's alien tech. But
in fairness, it was alien tech, but you see, right? For me, all right. So, Alien, his tail is probably about 20 feet long, and it's full of spikes. His arms are spikes. He's got 2 mouths. His head is like a shield. His body is kind of armor plated compared to ours, and his blood is acid. There's just he's just no. I mean, and he's like a cat-like reflexes as well compared to a Predator. Without the tech, Predator is nothing.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to go up against one or the other, me personally, I want to go up against Predator because I stand more of a chance against Predator.
Just throw the gun away.
Than I do Alien. Definitely. But I think that the Predator, with all its tech, has probably got the advantage over the Alien.
Yeah. But even though one Alien killed 2 Predators that had tech in it, but as I say, and I don't even want to go there with the Queen because this guy at the end couldn't deal with the Queen. It had to be the human, of course. But now,
Sam Kersey says she prefers Alien, and then she's obviously put there, and they shag your face.
Who? Sam Kersey.
Yeah, I mean, we can come on to the facehuggers because the movies we're about to talk about, which we're coming closer to, which is the prequels. Obviously, it gets more into the lore of the face huggers and where they come from, etc., etc.
Oh, you mean Covenant and Prometheus?
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
So, no,
but before we have that, we have Predators.
we do. Yeah,
Predators. Right. Go. Opinions. What do you think?
I liked it.
Right.
Yeah, I like. I mean, it took it back to the jungle, albeit an alien
With
jungle.
a twist. With a twist.
Nice twist.
Yeah.
It had the right theme. I think everything about it was spot on in that sense. I'm not a big fan of Adrien Brody in this film.
I actually was surprised about how much I thought he was all right. It wasn't my choice, and then I was like, he did the Batman voice quite a lot and all that.
Yeah.
But no, you know what? I think good luck to him, mate.
You know, he didn't ruin the film. You know,
no,
he didn't by any stretch. He did well. It was passable. I don't think he was the strongest protagonist in a Predator film by far.
No, but I do think he did a good enough job, better than I would have thought from The Pianist. You know,
I liked the story. The story was good.
The characters were pretty good as well. They weren't quite Predator, but they were going along with that, and some of them were quite likable.
If you're going to make me nitpick, the Lawrence Fishburne character, yeah,
Who?
Lawrence Fishburne, his character.
Oh yeah. No, he got on my nerves a little bit.
I mean, they basically say that he survived there for 10 years on his own.
Was it 10 years? Was it 10 years? He said he survived. Yeah. I couldn't work it out.
He supposedly knows they track in threes and do all these things, and you think you're talking about predators here and multiple predators. You know, the most sophisticated hunting beings in the galaxy, and somehow you've evaded them for 10 years. But
I thought it was only a few months. I didn't think it was 10 years.
Free in that, you know, that's for me. That was a little bit sort of.
No, I thought it was only a few months. I didn't know it was 10 years. Plus, I just didn't like the way his character was acting. It was a kind of annoying a little bit the way he was talking. I was like, all right. He was only in it for a while. Although I do like Lawrence Fishburne in general. You know what I mean?
But like the ending. I don't like I don't like predators helping humans. I don't like that.
I did like the twist on. There was this other vicious couple, a few tribe of predators. I was like, all right, and they looked real mean when it showed them. Do you remember? They were really vicious looking. I was like, oh shit, these guys look bad. They brought up the Arnold back in 1987.
And again, I think that was a direct choice to ignore. I think they wanted to completely ignore Predator 2. Completely. I
don't know why.
Yeah, I think because of the backlash that Predator 2 got.
I know, but still, you got Alien versus Predator.
No one liked it going to LA. Everyone wanted it in the jungle, so let's give them what they want. Let's give a little callback to the original Predator, even if Arnie's actually not going to be in it. So there was fan service there. I think they gave the fans everything we wanted. It wasn't as good. It wasn't as good as
but I like it, and it gets a lot of backlash, that film, and I'm like, no, the soundtrack is there. I like the one of the creepiest parts for me is what was it? Danny? What's his name? The Mexican fella, Danny Diang. What's his name? My God,
the guy from
Dust Till Dawn.
Yeah,
you know, he's got his machete. Yeah. Do you remember the bit where he was sitting down? Sorry? Do you remember the bit where he was sitting down and he was in the grass and he was like, help me? And there was like, Adrien Brody goes, no, it's a trap. And he was like, help me. I was like, that was quite creepy, actually. He was just sitting there, help me. I was like, yeah. They did a bit like, they did a bit of that in the first Predator. So they're copying the first Predator in some ways. But it was a fan service film. Did really well. They got a lot of backlash, especially Adrien Brody, and I think no, and I like the twist that they weren't on Earth. They were somewhere else, brought to Earth. I mean, you're fucked. There's no you like forget going home on some spaceship and all that. You're done. Just end it. But again, I like that they're doing it and I was hoping for I don't know why another sequel to that, but that got scrapped again, didn't it? It got scrapped. So
as far as the whole Predator forgetting the AVP movies, this was the first film, to my knowledge, that introduced like the super predator to the
Well, it
franchise.
wasn't really. It was just a different tribe. I don't think they were saying they were super. They were just saying they were a different tribe of people, or different tribe of
It's like
predators.
because when you go forward, I know we'll speak about it in a little while, but when we go forward to Predators, the last obviously there's what I'd class as a super predator in that one, which is like twice the size of the originals.
Oh yeah.
I would certainly give Predators easily 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's probably the second best Predator film there is, really, of all whatever. I mean, I don't consider Alien vs Predator.
For me, as I know you do as well, I appreciate Predators 2 for what it was. It was something different. I'd certainly put Predators up there, level pegging with Predators 2 for me. Nothing's ever going to beat the original, is it? I don't think. I'm not about to hear you say to me Predators.
Predator.
The best movie.
Predator is in probably my top 20 of all-time favorite films. Now, my list of top 10, 20 favorite films, not all necessarily are great acted films. It's just what I personally like as films growing up and stuff. Like some people go, well, because but like Ghostbusters is probably in my top 5. It's probably not Shawshank Redemption, but so I would say Predator and Aliens 2 are in my top 20 of all-time favorite films. Now, after Predators, it was Alien? No, it was Prometheus, wasn't it?
Yeah, Prometheus, yeah.
2012. It's nearly 10 years old, that film. Believe that? Now, did you say you hadn't seen these?
No. I hadn't seen Covenant. I'd seen Prometheus. Right. I hadn't seen Covenant. I saw Covenant last night, so that was the only. That was. I don't include the Alien vs Predator movies because, like I say, I kind of disown them. But I did watch them for this chat.
Right.
But the only
what do you reckon, Prometheus? What do you reckon of that?
I liked it. I think again, every film is going to
have loads of problems.
I think every film after the original Alien or after the original Predator, they're all getting a bad rap because they're not Alien or they're not Predator. And I thought Prometheus, if you take that as a film and you forget the Alien connection, and you take it as a standalone sci-fi movie, I think. Sally. Yeah, see you, Sally. Thanks for coming on. I think it comes across as a really decent sci-fi movie.
Look, I'd be honest with you. I was intrigued by the engineers. I was more interested in the engineers because from the start, like when they created us, right, yeah, okay, we go and see one. It's like, oh, brilliant, okay, yeah, this is good. We get to see them, and they're freaky looking, and they're vicious, and I'm like, okay, this is brilliant. Everyone's like moaning about wanting to see more aliens, but I was actually more interested in what the engineers are doing. I'm sure you're going to throw in some fan service at some point, but do you remember the ship rolls at the end? It falls down and it rolls and it kills what's her name? Blondie girl. Oh my god. Theron. But anyway, I thought, how perfect would that have been when it falls on the side, if it falls to its side, and that was the ship that was in Alien, because it is what's his name? The engineer is trying to control it. It falls to the side. You could have had a perfect prequel to Alien, and then at the end we see the alien, the perfect prequel to the first Alien. But they said it was a different planet, didn't they? They didn't say it was the same planet.
Well, originally
they could have done that, and they fucked it up.
From what I've read, originally the idea Ridley Scott had was he wanted a trilogy,
and apparently still might be making another.
So I don't think this movie was ever going to end and be a bookend.
No. But what I was saying is that they didn't have to end it. They still went off to find out about the engineers at the end, but they could have ended that planet like that, and then we all would have known. Yeah, that's what was going to happen now in years to come when Sigourney Weaver gets there. But they didn't. So I was like, okay, so you've made it pretty much look like it is, but it's not. Do you remember the guy who puts his hand out and you see this crazy little snake alien thing? Oh,
Mm.
hello, it's cute. Oh, hello.
Stupid. It is a bit. It's. I mean, it's not a perfect movie. It is not a perfect movie, but that is, you know, it's got its bad points. But I thought it was a decent enough movie.
Oh, I thought that I couldn't wait for the next one. It was the engineers. I wanted to know, why did they create us? What was their problem? Why are they trying to get rid of us? What happened on the planet that they're? And when they gave us the promise of, we're going to go to find out now, I was like, yes.
I mean,
but it looked great. The film looks great. It looks good. The acting's good. The characters are decent, especially Fassbender. I think everyone.
I think he's possibly the best android of the entire series.
I know, but you can't. Everyone loves Bishop. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you can love a character and you can have them as like, yeah, they're funny, or there's this about them or else. But I think, he's kind of a mix of.
You're talking about character development as well.
Bishop, right? And he's Ash. He's good. He's bad. He's good. Obviously it goes.
Well, he actually knows he's more superior to us as well, as you find out in Covenant. Mm. He knows he's better than us. He's more superior to us. So yeah, there's that rumor.
I like the actress Noomi Rapace. Is it Rapace?
Yeah. And Naomi. I like it too. That was some messed up scene. Do you remember the bit where she got pregnant? And she had to. Oh my god, that was crazy. So that was more like the first Alien. They were bringing back those shocking moments, but they had meaning behind it. Like, like, oh god, not for the sake of it. Then you had who I call is the poor man's Tom Hardy. What's his name? The guy, her boyfriend.
But yeah, I don't know his name, but yeah, I know you mean
Tom Hardy sort of thing. Yeah. He did a good film called Upgrade not too long since then. Actually, it's quite good. But anyway, as I said, I didn't like his character. Why had he had it in for Michael Fassbender's character? I don't know. He was just a dick on it for some reason.
I wonder how many people recognise Guy Pearce.
Well, I was watching something about him recently. He said he doesn't know. He said he doesn't know why they didn't hire an older actor. He said, I have no idea why they didn't. He said it. Why? I don't know. They just asked me and put loads of stuff on me. He goes, because I could do an English accent. He said, I don't know. But I'm like, it's true. You could have got anyone to do that, but he's not as if he showed him young,
doesn't he?
Apparently there was footage, but they didn't put it in the film of him being younger in it. But they didn't do it. They scrapped it.
He was in Covenant.
No, on Prometheus there was actually other footage of him being younger, but they didn't put it in at all. Like, he said, but so he doesn't understand why he was hired for it, but he done it. And he's a good actor actually. Come a long way from Neighbours. Anyway, but as I said, I came out. I had so many questions. I was like, but why this? Why does the alien look different? Why did they create us? Why this? So it's all going to be answered on Alien Covenant, right? Wrong. Doing an Arnold now. Wrong. No, it wasn't. But I mean, is there anything else you'd like to say about Prometheus apart from how good it looked? Idris Elba, small character, but I liked him on it.
I think the cast was a top cast, really. When you think about who was in there, it was probably the strongest cast.
It looks great.
Maybe it was great. Aliens. Maybe the strongest cast. Maybe the strongest looking cast since Aliens.
Yeah, definitely. Some of them are annoying. Apart from, the two that got stuck in the thingy. One with the Mohican, and the other guy was, oh look. The other guy was like, stay fuck away from that. No, he's cute. No, he's not.
That's kind of a plot device. You think one of those guys, I think it's the Mohican guy. He was the one that had the balls that mapped around everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And he kind of said, oh yeah, go this way, go that way. Yeah. Then he says, I'm going off back to the ship, and he gets lost. The one guy that's basically got the map and has basically told everyone this is, and that's his thing. His thing is I map things and I know where things are. and he's the one that gets lost. Kind of, you know.
Jonathan Rogers says, all right, Jonathan, love the Prometheus, love the first Alien films the most. Looking forward to the future of films. Oh, I don't know what's the future, but I think we'll get to that in a minute. But I was going to say do you know the goo, the alien goo type thing? Right now, right. I want to say this now because we're going to go into Covenant in a minute, right? So, do you remember they went into that room where all those cans of stuff were everywhere? Mm-hmm. Do you remember in the background there was a big picture of a xenomorph?
Yeah.
Right. Now I want just to point that out so you remember that when we get to Covenant.
Okay.
You know where I'm going with this. Obviously, the goo, they didn't explain much about what were they going to drop that on Earth? Was that what they were going to do? Drop all those on Earth or something? You know, I don't really know. But all was going to be explained in Alien Covenant. So I had so many questions with Prometheus, but I was happy because we're going to get the sequel and it's all going to be answered right. As I said, wrong. No, it fucking wasn't. Yeah. Apparently, now this has pissed me off about what's his name, Ridley Scott. He said he had ideas for Prometheus 2, Alien Covenant, or whatever, right? And he goes, but the fans moaned so much. He said he decided. I was like, hold on, what? They moaned so much, so you decided to do something that they did, which was inconsistent with what you did. Which, by the way, Prometheus did really well, so he should have stuck with that. But so we have these ton of new characters. Sorry, I'm going into Covenant now. Yeah, we have this ton of new characters, and it shows in the trailer. Is it James Franco to be in it? He was in the trailer, James Franco,
right?
Who killed off in the first scene, so we don't even know if it was him, but it was, yeah. Then Naomi, who we got to like in the first one, who we had her back, we were all the way with her. Got rid of. They killed her off. I was like, okay.
That's just Newton Hicks over again.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like, we're all invested in her. Then we have Michael Fassbender with his long hair. All right, I understand he's there. Now, it shows. Actually, I don't even think it was on the film. Was it? It was on on a kind of a trailer type thing, part of the film, where it shows him going to the planet of the engineers and dropping all this in some little town community area, and they're trying to say they're all finished. They're all dead. So they only lived in that little part of the world. Yeah, they didn't detail. I was like, hold on. So everything I wanted to see from Prometheus and all the engineers was gone in seconds. I was okay. So now you have these new characters now walking around on this new planet they're checking out. And do you remember one guy stands on something and it goes in his ear?
Yeah.
And it bursts out of his back. And I think another guy stepped on another thing and it went up his nose. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then it burst out of him. Right. Then you have that stupid girl who locks the other girl in and blows herself up on the ship. I'm like, oh God, all right. What's his name? The comedian's on it. Oh God. The guy with the curly hair, he's normally funny, but he was actually really serious on this film. You know what I'm talking about? He has the moustache.
Yeah, I know. I was only watching
last night. Anyway. So my point is, right, according to Michael Fassbender's character, he was trying to create the perfect race of being, and he was using Naomi Watts' character, and he was using humans, right, to get it. But hold on, it's already a perfect organism because it's already going into your ear. You don't need to go on your face now and sit in your face for a few hours and days. Do you remember? I was like, hold on.
I know. I think the difference there is, it's not the xenomorph that we know, is it? It's kind of like
no, but it's not far off it. Do you know? I mean, the little thing that jumped out and the white thing.
I think that doesn't quite make sense. Is if we just quickly go back to the very end of Prometheus, right?
Yeah.
The alien creature that kills the engineer, right? If you remember, yeah. Right? That kind of looks like an absolutely huge, massive, massive face hugger.
It was. It was
Yeah.
supposed to be, I think.
But
Yeah.
then in Alien Covenant, it's kind of implied that David has.
That's what I was getting to. He created.
Okay.
So why was that xenomorph picture in the back in the first in Prometheus with all the cannons? There was already a picture of xenomorph, and Ridley Scott was saying that David will be the one who creates the xenomorph. But I'm like, no, have you forgotten that you had a picture of a xenomorph in the back in Prometheus? Did you forget that there was a face hugger? Did you forget there was an alien already on it? So I'm a bit lost. Also, pretend all that was taken out. I didn't like the fact that it would have been David who created this race of beings. I didn't like it. I don't know why. I just didn't like the fact that he created them, even though he technically didn't. So it was very inconsistent. Now, the alien looked brilliant on it. Actually, he looked quite vicious. Remember, he was banging his head off the spaceship and all that. So I won't fault how it looked. It all looked great. I just found it inconsistent and very frustrating. If it was a standalone film that had nothing to do with Prometheus, I may have enjoyed it more. But I'm waiting to see more about the engineers, and it wasn't explained that we just killed them all off. We spent a whole last film all about the engineers and going off to find more about why they created us and why they wanted to destroy us, and we didn't hear nothing about that. It was just, yeah.
There is a third film planned.
I heard, but then I heard that it might not be as well. You know, because everyone's moaning.
From what I've heard, it's supposed to be there was some engineers that were obviously not on the planet. Yeah. So they're going to come back to the planet.
Right. Hopefully. So we know.
I don't know much more information other than that. But that would hopefully. You're saying you wanted to see more about the engineers. I think we'll get more engineers in the potential third film.
I have no faith in him at all at this point. Yeah.
2010, I think, was the last time they were talking about a script being written.
When was that? 2000 and what?
End of 2019.
All right, look. We got 10 years ago was Prometheus. Is it 3 or 4 years ago now since Covenant?
2017 Covenant.
I will see another one if it comes out, but I just was, and the parts of Covenant was good. Some parts were really good. The aliens looked good. Some of the scenes were good. The characters were stupid. They brought up a guy who was religious. Yeah, and all right, what's your point? All right, he's religious. Okay, so what's that got to do with the film? I don't know. And then, oh, by the way, have a look. I'm horrible, but have a look into that little pod. What? No, put your head in. It's quite safe.
I don't think it was a mystery to anyone other than the actual main character that David was the one on the ship at the end either. You know,
I had a, you know, when you see them fighting, and
you knew that he took that knife, he killed him, he cut off his hand.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but again, like, where are we going with this? Like, is he bringing them back to is it LV-14? Is that what he's going to do?
They were going to. What was the name of it? Something
were going to, yeah, but is he bringing them back to LV-14?
They're now going because they were actually, they'd found another planet, hadn't they, to make a colony. So there's like 2,000 people on board that ship, and they were going to Apollo 8 or wherever it was, the name of this planet.
Yeah.
But they sidetracked to go to that planet because it was nearer to see if it was.
Yeah. Because that's where he was bringing them at the end, though. Was he going back to the original plan? Yeah. Oh, right. I thought he was bringing them back somewhere.
He was making out to the computer that he was the other guy.
I mean, there were some bits. The action towards the end was all right. You know, like the shower scene and all that. But again, at this point, I'm wanting to see an engineer film with.
Yeah, but see the shower. That was cool. I'm not saying it wasn't cool, but that was tacked on. If that had happened halfway in the movie or at the beginning of the movie, you can understand it. But it felt tacked on. at
It
that
was
point.
just it was
It was in all,
I just,
it was in all the trailers, and it was like, see this cool scene. And I feel like it was more of a moment that was put in for the trailers that was.
then the end felt a bit more like the first Alien when it went out the back and all that, which is all right. But again, I just felt like there was more questions than answers when I'd finished this more than Prometheus, and then I felt like he scrapped the idea of Prometheus to go along with because fans were moaning about not enough Alien. But I'm like, you could have done both. You could have done more. I don't know. I mean, if I had to sit down and write, I would have written something better than that. But it was inconsistent. Like, what's is it? David. His name was what's his name? Michael Fassbender.
David,
Yeah.
yeah.
He didn't create the aliens. They're already created. In fact, David saw the picture in the second one. So, and yeah, I don't know where he went with that. Don't get me wrong. I prefer it more than Alien versus Predator. Both of them. Yeah, I do. But again, and it's a good film, but it's just they're not a good sequel to Prometheus, if you know what I mean. It's not a good continuation. It's modeled. It's all over the place. And Prometheus gave us so many questions that were promised to be answered. It didn't, and I was fucking pissed off. Then we've got, is it 2018 Predator? Right. What do you think of that?
I've watched it twice, and the first time I viewed it, I liked it.
Yeah.
And I think I think it was a bit more nostalgic. I hadn't seen a Predator movie for quite a while, because bear in mind, I hadn't seen the Alien versus Predator movies up to this point. So I hadn't seen a movie for like 8 years, Predator. I watched it. I felt it was okay. I've rewatched it since, and it just gets worse on viewing. I think multiple viewings.
I watched it twice as well. I didn't mind it the first time I watched it. Everyone was going on. I was like, it wasn't terrible. Some of the ideas, the storytelling was a bit, I don't mind the group of bad guys that they had. I didn't mind the group of bad boys that they had. They were all right. Some of it was funny. There was something going on in the background about some friend of his. I don't want to get into it, but as I said, they were all right. The story, what was it? The ozone, something planet is going to die soon, so they're coming to take it all, or something. Remind me, what was it? Do you remember?
I don't remember, to be honest.
Something like the ozone was going to destroy Earth, and they was going to come and take it over, and then one of them came to warn us, didn't he? Even though he killed half of us, and then the other guy was the big fella.
He killed half the people, but he didn't kill the woman who was naked. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he would die.
Because she was obviously important to the plot at the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then at the end, they get given the suit, and it's just like, you wouldn't do that. Like I've said previously, I'm not a fan of predators and humans working like that.
No, I agree. So they give us this suit. Now, did you know that Arnold and Sigourney Weaver was to be on this movie? Did you know that? No. Yeah, at the end. Yeah. So at the end, where you're supposed to see Arnold jump out of a helicopter because he's chasing the predators since part one. And what's Sigourney Weaver? I can't remember what she's going to be on it, but yeah, he was supposed to be. I don't know what happened. They scrapped it. He was doing it. They scrapped it, but then they went with that silly suit at the end. Do you remember?
Yeah,
I was like,
it
felt a bit more like, what was that film? Requiem. Do you remember at the end of that they looked like they were going to try and spawn off a load of stuff on top of that?
Well, they're going to make it with a human wearing a predator suit.
Yeah.
But do you want to see?
It's not going to happen now anyway. It's not happening now anyway. It's been scrapped. I don't know what the future is for the Predator franchise now at this point, because that film, I think it did all right, and it was Shane Black who did it, and we expect him to do it because there is
a film planned, and they've got a director as well, haven't they?
Oh, you're joking? I've not heard that at all.
There's no date given on it, but there's a film. I think the director's name was Dan Trachtenberg or something like that. Don't quote me on that. But it's provisionally titled Skulls. That's the working title, but it's whether it's going to have another title, I don't know. But it's going to be set somewhere in the American Civil War, and it's going to have some sort of Native American, female Native American warrior going up against, and she's like let's say she's a Native American, in that sort of time period, and she's going to have to go up against a predator who's going to land on Earth. So it's a complete, it's not modern day. It's going to be back in, 200 years ago.
That sounds good. That sounds like a good idea. I'd like to see something old and all that. Yeah, that would be good.
Taking it in a completely avenue, and whether it'll be called Skulls is another idea. But if you look up online, there is definitely a film planned. They just haven't got, I suppose, with the pandemic and everything else, it hasn't got any further along.
Well, I do know this though. There was loads of films planned over the years that never come to be, but that was definitely sounds like it'd be a good one. Now you reminded me of about what's his name, the guy who done Chappie and District 19. Is it District 19?
District 9.
District 9. You know.
I know who you mean. Yeah.
The failed attempt about him and aliens. You know about that, right? Please tell me you know.
No.
You don't know? He was going to do a sequel. This isn't rumor. All the plans, I'll send it to you. He was to do Neil Broadcamp, his name was, the director. He was to do a sequel to the second Aliens with Ripley, Newt, and Hicks.
No, yeah, I think. Oh, I didn't know it was him, but I did read that somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So he draw all the plans up, and at first I wasn't really up for him to do it, and then I thought about it. No, his films did have aliens. His Chappie looked like an alien type shape. Then you had
I like both Chappie and District. They're good.
But you know that Ripley Scott put an end to it, because he's like, no, we can't have two franchises running at the same time. But he all the artwork is out, all the designs are out. It shows Hicks older with his face all kind of
there is definitely a new alien coming.
I know that it ain't the one we were hoping. Well, as I said, what's his name? Cancelled it out. Ridley Scott cancelled it. So I don't know what's happening now. I don't know if it's the same thing.
So they only announced this literally at the end of December. So literally back in December.
The Disney thing you're talking about. Is it you?
Yeah. Oh. So there's a Disney owned Fox. So obviously Disney own all the rights to Alien and everything else. They're bringing at the end of this month, a couple of weeks' time, they're bringing a lot more adult content onto Disney Plus. In the likes of the Terminator series, they will be bringing on Alien and Predator. They're going to have a lot more stuff like Family Guy and all that, all available on Disney Plus.
Terminator onto Disney.
Yeah,
they're not going onto the Disney app channel.
Yeah, on the Disney. Yeah. No, it's not going to be on launch, because launch I think is February the 23rd. But there's going to be new titles every week. You've got to bear in mind that certain places like Sky that might have the rights to certain Terminator movies at the moment, so that might take a little while for rights to expire. But as soon as rights expire, Disney are going to put all that content onto Disney Plus.
Also, Aliens is Fox as well, isn't it? Aliens is Fox. That's right. Yeah. So they're going to do.
They're going to have Die Hard. They've got Die Hard 2, 3, and 4, and 5. I think they haven't got the rights to Die Hard 1 because I think Sky have got that at the moment. But they're going to have that within a couple of weeks' time, and they will obviously add Die Hard as it goes on. But getting back to Alien, when they announced all this expansion and then announced the fact that they were bringing adult content onto Disney Plus, they announced a brand new Alien TV show that is going to have Ridley Scott as executive producer. So he is going to be involved. It's going to be set. I don't know what time frame it's going to be set, but it's going to be set on Earth. So we are finally going to get an alien.
I don't know if that's a good thing. We got Dawson's Creek all over again. I'm not interested in humans in this thing, like I wasn't in the last Alien versus Predator. I'm not interested in the humans, and I don't want to see love stories and love triangles. I want to see out and out alien killings.
go back, like I was saying earlier on about like the 10 different scripts of Alien 3, and there was a script, and so even the original tagline was "On Earth, you will, people, you can hear and scream." They've obviously written different stuff for literally the last 20 years, alien movies on Earth. There's been ideas bandied about. Clearly, there's obviously work somewhere where they've got scripts, etc., etc. So they're obviously going to use probably some of that basis, and they're going to create a TV show out of it. And Disney have got all the, they've got all the money in the world, don't they, to be able to throw anything they want at it.
Yeah.
So
listen, they're titans, mate. You think about it, right? I used to always say that Marvel was massive. You think about back in the 70s, 80s, duvets that had Spider-Man written on it. Marvel gets a percentage. Stickers, toys, Marvel get a percent. Marvel massive. But then Disney bought Marvel, and Disney have their own stuff already. And I'm like, wow. Then they own Fox, and I'm like, hey, you're talking about aliens and X-Men and all kinds of. I'm like, I mean, they're going to take over the world.
Well,
they're going to take over the world.
Disney planned to have 95 million subscribers by 2024 on Disney Plus, right? They announced last month they had 94.9 million in January. So they basically hit their target 3 years early. They've now set themselves another target of 230 million subscribers by 2024. To give you an idea, Netflix currently has 200 million. But what you got to bear in mind is, and I know we're sort of going away from the subject of aliens here for a moment, but they own all the content. I know Netflix makes originals, and I know Amazon makes originals, but they still have an awful lot of stuff they license out. Once you take all that stuff away from the likes of Netflix and Amazon, and they're just going to wait the next 2 years, they'll let all the contracts expire with Sky, with Netflix, with Amazon, with all the other affiliated companies, and then they'll just put it all on Disney Plus. And then they're going to have so much content.
It's going to be, Netflix. Yeah, they're just titans. They already are, and they're only going to get bigger. They own the biggest franchises, companies in movies so far as I know, Warner Brothers. But Warner Brothers is nothing to them now. Warner Brothers is nothing compared to Disney at the moment. Nothing. I mean, and they won't give up DC, which we're going back on to something else now. But as I said, going back to, I'd be definitely going to watch Alien TV series. I'm not sure if it'll be any good. But then saying that, when it comes to Marvel movies and stuff, they've kind of got it right. So maybe they might get this right. They're not stupid. Like Warner Brothers.
The Mandalorian was a massive success for them with Star Wars.
Sorry?
The Mandalorian was a massive.
I just remembered. Hold on, they own Star Wars as well. Like, do you know what I mean?
So they've had some issues with Star Wars movies. Some people will say some of the Star Wars movies they've made haven't been the best, but they hit a home run. They hit a home run with Mandalorian. I think, in a smaller scale like the TV shows, I think they know what to do. And I'm looking for an Alien TV show.
You're a Star Wars fan, and no matter what they make, you'll go and watch it, won't you?
Yeah. Star
Wars. Right. So it doesn't matter really if the films weren't that good. They're going to get watched for and rewatched anyway. I mean, it's not always hit or miss. They don't set out to make a bad film. Do you know what I mean? And they're not terrible. It's just, I hate the second one. What was it? Rise of. I don't hate it. Was it Rise of Skywalker?
The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi. No, that's the second one I'm talking about.
Yeah, the second one's Last Jedi, isn't it?
All right, yeah.
The third one was Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was right. But you know what? It's not terrible. They're not the worst films. I look back on the prequels now, and I didn't hate the prequels either. They were okay. Anyway, going off the subject, Ian. As I said, I think we've covered about anything, and if there's any questions anyone likes to ask, there's
if anyone that's watching at the moment obviously wants to make any comments, but appreciate everyone that has tuned in at different times and has commented and we try to obviously read and respond to as many comments as we can. while trying to hopefully give some information on and some insight, our own insight into these movies.
And thanks for all the people that looked stuff up that we couldn't remember.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I don't know. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Mike?
No, I think we've done well.
I'd like to thank you, Mike, for joining us again because you're always very informative.
Thank you.
You know, and I like to thank myself for being myself, of course. But listen, anyway, look, I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. I'm going to drag this out too much longer, and take care.
Take care.
And here I go again, trying to turn this off as I normally do, and it never works.